Hi guys, so today's video is gonna be kind of like focused around the fact that it's kind of like hard to like talk to people nowadays. Um, this may be like a repeat of like the first video that I made, but I don't really care. Um, but yeah, um, just talking about that, and then I also wanted to talk about my struggles with like maintaining relationships. Um, so when I was younger, like I mentioned in my other videos, I was bullied through like middle school and high school, and then I also had like I'd say trauma from um like a relationship that I was kind of like forced into. Um, which sucked because I was like 13 around then, and at the time I was identifying as a guy and whatever, and this was like kind of like when I was with my dad's ex-girlfriend, and basically I was bullied so badly that I didn't know like how to tell if like somebody was like interested in me. I didn't know what that meant, and I just let people like walk all over me, essentially. Um, but I've had a lot of experiences with that. Um, but this experience was basically, um, he was like a cousin of my dad's ex-girlfriend, and he came over to like party with us or whatever. Um, and we were camping, so I couldn't like really like get out of there, like get away from him or whatever. But like when I first met him, I was like, this is kind of like a weird guy. By the way, he was like, I think he was like 20, 22 or something like that. And I was 13 yet again. Um, but yeah, it started out with him being like super nice to me. And so I kind of liked that because that was like the only positive feedback I was getting then, except for like from my dad or whatever. Because my dad would like console me after I was bullied or whatever. Um, but this guy, he could like tell that I was like autistic or whatever, and he decided to we never did like any he never like forced me to do like anything like sexual or whatever, but he had me like hold hands with him, and like there was at one point where we were like playing in the mud or whatever, and he had me like touch his chest or whatever, and then he was kind of like flirting with me, and basically his friend like told him to stop, and he didn't stop, and so that was when we got my dad's ex-girlfriend involved, and he never got charged for any of that. But there was like a similar situation where one of like the kids in her family had like a similar thing happen to them, and we still don't know to this day if it was him or not. Um, but yeah, there was that, and then there was the bullying stuff with people just like coming up to me and being like, "Hey, my friend Joe over there likes you. Can you go talk to him?" And I was so stupid that I would just go over and I'd be like, hey, I heard that you said you liked me. And then they would just laugh until finally I realized, like, after a few times that I. Nobody did like me. And it was just a joke. That was basically what it was. And then I was basically like forced to be friends with people. And yeah, and then my dad's ex-girlfriends would sometimes be like super mean to me for no reason. That was super fun. That was like the highlight of my childhood, was coming back home from being bullied and then being bullied again by my dad's girlfriends or whatever. And that went on until like after I went to college or whatever, and then that stopped. Yeah. But I've had like a lot of weird experiences with guys. I don't know. So it kind of like makes me like nervous to like get to be friends, just to be friends with a guy. Like I get like super nervous now because I think that something bad is gonna happen, and I really don't like it to be that way because I feel like I don't have any girlfriends because I feel like a lot of girls are just gossipy and catty or whatever, and I don't know. I just can't really imagine having a friend that's a girl. Like, the only friend that I'd say I have that's a girl is my mom. And she doesn't really count. But yeah, and then the friend stuff. I feel like if I went up to somebody right now, like for example, there's this guy in my class. I'm gonna call him Eric. So Eric, if you see this, by the way, I think you're pretty cool. But hopefully he doesn't see this because I don't want everybody in my class to know like how screwed up I am. But he is like basically like my type. Quiet, kind of like a loner type. Doesn't try and like look nonchalant or whatever like the guys are doing right now. I can't stand that stuff. Like, I hate people acting nonchalant because we need to act like more chalant. Like we need to get more people to like converse and stuff because our generation's really bad at conversing together. And yeah, I just like people that are like me, that like they don't stick out. They like to hang out with like the philosophical kind of like weirder kids, and they like to draw and stuff like that, and go to the gym and just focus on themselves, which I can get because I go to the gym sometimes. I used to go. I went like nonstop for like 3 years, and then I had like issues with my back from lifting weights, so I don't really like go that often anymore. But when I do, I usually just go dance. But I feel like if I went up to Eric and I said, I don't even know what I would say. Hey, I noticed you're wearing a Brave Divinity shirt. I used to go to the gym too. I think that's pretty cool. And in my mind, I would think that his response would be, who are you, and like, why are you talking to me? Kind of like response. That's what I think his response would be. But in reality, like if I actually did go up to him and talk to him, I think that he would be like, yeah, sometimes I go to the gym, and do you go to the gym? And then we could like converse about it like back and forth. But because I don't like bring that up to him, then how is he gonna know? Like, I'm never gonna know like what the response is gonna be from that. And when I think about it that way, it actually makes me pretty sad that we're kind of just like going around living our lives, and we think about all these things we could say to somebody, and like 90% of the time we just don't say them. If you're like quiet like me, then it's 90% of the time. 10% of the time I do go up to them, or they come up to me, and they say hi first or whatever, and I prefer when that happens, like I said before, because I feel like it takes like the weight off my shoulders. I don't like coming up to people and like just praying that they're gonna respond in like a positive way. They're not gonna just ignore me. Hey, Eric. You know, like that. Or it like respond in like a negative way, like, who are you talking to, bruh? Or something like that. Like, and then I think that if I go up to like a girl, it would be like a similar thing. Like, I go up to her, and actually most girls I know here that I've like come up to, I talk to them, they say hi, and then they say, well, I've already got a friend group, so we can't be friends or whatever. I've got too many friends, hee 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 hee. And I'm just like, okay. Like, I don't get why somebody would like respond like that. Like, it puts the person down because you're turning them down basically, and then you're also making it negative because you're bragging about how many friends you've got. And it's like all you have to do is say, I don't want to be friends, or I do want to be friends. That's like all they have to say, and they just like turn into something else. But yeah, I think that we as a generation are like more focused on our phones than we are on like conversating with actual people. And if you're like me, you know that it's super hard to like go to like a third place like after class and all that, because you're exhausted, especially if you can't handle like being around people for that amount of time. And so when you get back, you're just like, I don't want to do anything except for play games or read or draw or whatever, or just scroll on TikTok for hours. And that is relaxing. Like, it does help with like keeping stress levels down, but in reality you're actually like increasing your stress levels like over time, because you're not going to a third place after class and meeting new people, or just like venting or talking to somebody. That's another thing I kind of struggle with, is when I make friends, I kind of just vent to them, and I feel like I'm burdening them. I feel like our relationship is only based on them being my therapist, basically. And I want to change that because it makes me seem like really emotionally immature. And I mean, I am immature, but I don't want to seem that way. So I'm kind of like struggling with like, I have to like vent to these people like every now and then, but I can't just like do it like every single time that we get together and we're hanging out. Like I don't want to be the party pooper. I don't want to be like the person that's just like, oh man, my day sucked. All I could think about was this class where I had to have this presentation and I had to talk and I just can't talk. I just can't I can't do it in front of everybody. And this friend of mine is like, okay, like you've talked about this all week. Like, can't we just like go to like a cafe somewhere and like hang out and have a good time? You know, it's like that kind of thing. And then it kind of like stresses them out because they're having to like carry the weight of your emotions and stuff, and they're kind of like having to learn how to like respond to you like based on like what you do or what you say or whatever. And I feel like that's just like not a healthy, that's not a healthy situation. um so yeah, I'm gonna end this video by saying that I'm doing pretty good this week. I'm doing better than last week. um I'm trying to have like a few times of the week where I go like to an event or somewhere and just hang out. Like don't even like you don't even like have to talk. You can just like hang out somewhere and it'll make you feel better. Um and then tomorrow I've got my medication appointment and my counselor appointment. So yeah. Um Another thing I've noticed with me is I seem to like gravitate like towards older people because I feel like our generation isn't very social, and I feel like you can learn like a lot more from like older people, but at the same time you have to be like careful with that because they may like try and groom you or take advantage of you or whatever. But yeah, that's the end of my video.